All right, folks, so now we're on to the next part of our project where we are starting to do research. Some of you may have started this the other day, and that's okay. We wanted to provide a little bit of structure for you to understand how to use this notes research template. And so on the first slide, you will enter in your topic. If my sample topic is chewing gum, I'm going to go ahead and write that in here. And then you'll notice you have 3 sample template slides. For notes, you can add more slides to that as you want. And so if my sample is chewing gum, the very first question I should have is, well, what is in chewing gum? Or what are the ingredients in chewing gum, because it's a food. And so I'm going to type that question there. I'm going to Google it, exact same thing. And I see that chewing gum over here has a gum base, sweeteners, and softeners. And so I'm going to write chewing gum has sweeteners, softeners, and a gum base. And so now, right over here in my project, on my checklist, I have found 3 components that make up my substance, right? And so what I'm going to do next is figure out, well, what's my source for this? Let's go ahead and get a source. This source seems to be Wikipedia, which isn't necessarily the best source. So I'm going to look for something else. And let's wait for that to load. And it says, let's keep reading. Ingredients. So gum base, and then sweeteners and softeners. So we found it from another source that seems a little bit more reliable than Wikipedia. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And then I guess a question I have is, well, what is a gum base? And so over here on this source, does it contain content about chemical structure? Not really. Is it a good idea for a story? Maybe. Does it have images that I can use? Let's see. Over here, yeah, maybe this is a nice image. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that image, and I'll paste it off to the side. Just so I have it for reference, I can go ahead and move that over here. And sure, this has an image. And so my next question is, well, what is a gum base? And so I'm going to copy that question, and I'm going to put it right over here. And now I'm going to start figuring out what a gum base is. And so let's see if the same source has it. Oh, a gum base. Gum base is the main chewing ingredient found in gum, so I feel like that's relevant. It's the main chewing ingredient. Notice I'm not copying and pasting, I'm summarizing or like retyping things. And that is made up of resin, wax, and elastomer. So I'm going to focus on this gum base. Resin, wax, and elastomer. And then let's see what else it says about gum base. It says kind of these substances are in the gum base. And so I'm going to add that here. And now I have a molecule or something that looks like a chemical. And so let's use the same source. Now I'm using that source to talk about chemical composition. And so I'm going to put an X. And I guess I have a question here of what is, let's say, what is polyethylene, right? And so my next slide over here is, what is polyethylene? My next question, I'm going to Google that again. What is polyethylene? And we're going to avoid Wikipedia. Come over here. And let's see, this source can tell us everything about polyethylene. Now, something that I'm interested in doing is figuring out what polyethylene looks like as a chemical structure. And so I'm going to go back, and with the same search, I'm going to utilize the images function. And over here, I see polyethylene looks like a molecule like this. And so I'm going to paste that picture in there. This becomes my polyethylene. And so now what I've done is I've gotten a molecule that's in gum. And so over here, you found three components. Polyethylene becomes one of those components. This piece right here says you show or describe atoms or elements that make up at least two molecules. And so I know one of the molecules is polyethylene. And so I'm going to write polyethylene is made of carbon and hydrogen. That's what I see. And then we already know a little bit of information about carbon and hydrogen. So carbon has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 valence electrons. Oh, sorry, 4 valence electrons. And hydrogen has 1 proton, 0 neutrons, and 1 valence electron. And now, since I've done that, it checks off this box on the checklist. You should describe the atoms that make up at least 2 of your molecules. So we did it for polyethylene. You could go back and find another substance in gum, like one of these, or maybe you want to focus on a sweetener or a softener that we started talking about here, and you can go ahead and do the same thing. But now we've figured out that carbon and hydrogen are in polyethylene. Polyethylene is in our gum, and that's how we would break down our research. All right. Hopefully this is helpful and helps guide you a little bit.